institutional investors keep on buying Bitcoin despite the dip? First of all, let's look at what has been bought. Well, IBIT, which is the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, has added $231 million of Bitcoin on Friday. This is following a dip of almost 13% on Thursday. We know that also on Thursday, obviously, we have dipped a lot, going all the way down, actually going all the way down to here $60,000 at the bottom, but kind of consolidating at around $63,000. So we had a 13% dip, and institutional investors, which are the ones that invest into the ETFs, at BlackRock alone have added $231 million on Friday. And that's just BlackRock. Now, what does this mean? Well, first of all, it means that they realize that there's value to Bitcoin and that these drops are a blessing and that we are getting a discount in Bitcoin. And it's a good thing that they're buying this much right now just by a drop, and we're still at 70,000. Before that, they would probably not have bought this much, but we've seen that Bitcoin can go up to 126,000 and there is value. And if we have these big dips, then of course we should buy. And if you also look at at retail investors, so for example, let's look at the Coinbase Premium. This just shows us the buying demand in the US by Coinbase users. We have seen it also go up tremendously on Friday. So there's a lot of buying demand from institutions and a lot of buying demand from retail investors like you and me. And this just means that people believe in Bitcoin, people believe in it long term, and there is a lot of people that are willing to buy at lower prices and willing to buy at current prices, most importantly. Now, I want to talk about also on Bitcoin. If you zoom out a bit, let's go to the daily. We can see that we've actually perfectly bounced. Let's go to the weekly. We've perfectly bounced from the line that I predicted, which is actually $60,000. I predicted it previously in the last video. Why did I say that? Well, because if you go to the last cycle, we can see we found resistance at 60K 2 times pretty much. And then we've also been trading at around 60K for a couple of months in between March 2024 and October 2024. So for a very long time, we've had a lot of buying demand and selling demand at this level. And the more time we trade at a certain price, the more support or resistance we get from that price. And we can see that we've actually perfectly bounced from around $60,000 as predicted. And in my opinion, we're gonna go a bit higher before continuing to go down. Now, if we look at also the RSI, so we can add the RSI as an indicator, we can see that we're actually very oversold. So if I go here to the 4 hourly, actually let me go to the daily. I think the daily will give us a good idea. We can see here the purple line. The lower the RSI, the more oversold we are in general for Bitcoin, for any asset. And we can see it's very low at the moment. I mean, it hasn't been this low for a very long time. And while it means usually it's a very good time to buy if you're oversold because you're getting something at a discount, it doesn't mean that we cannot keep going down and we can stay at a low RSI for a while. Like here you can see we went down, but we stayed there for a few days, and we can of course continue staying low in my opinion. Now, next thing I want to talk about is that I expect further bearishness because usually these bear markets last for a longer time. I mean, if we zoom out here, okay, and we can see how long did the last bear markets last. We should always compare to the last. So here we have the top of the last bull market to the bottom, and it lasted pretty much around about 1 year, 371 days. You can see the number right here. The time before that, if we go to the top and we go to the bottom, we can see also about 364 days, so about 1 year. Let's go to the time before that. From the top, the bottom was like here, 413 days. So it's around about a year, maybe a bit more than a year. So if we start from here, from you know, let's actually start from here where we topped out at 126,000, and we go to 1 year after that. This means that we should be going down until about September, October 2026. So we still have a few months to go. To be quite exact, we have in my opinion, around about 230 days to go, so a few months left. And while that means that, of course, I think we are going to continue to go down. Right now, keep in mind there's a CME gap at around about $84,000. So if I just open the CME chart here and show you guys, we have this CME gap, which is at $84,000, and then we have another one at 93,000, and we know that usually they get filled. So if now over the weekend, because it's Saturday right now going into Sunday, we do not make huge moves, that will be a good thing. Because if we now go up a lot, let's say we go up a lot here on Sunday, we go up a lot, and now on Sunday, on Monday we're here. This is the gap that we've created over the weekend, and we know that we have a new CME gap, and these gaps tend to be filled most of the time. That means we first have to go down, fill that gap, and then continue going up to get to the same price. So hopefully we're gonna just do nothing over the weekend, stay at this price. So come next week, we're gonna fill this CME gap at $83,000, $84,000. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the general strategy for how you can make money in this cycle. And the best strategy, in my opinion, is to dollar cost average, basically to buy the dip and to keep buying the dip. Sorry, one sec. Let me open the Bitcoin chart for you guys. And the strategy goes like this. Let me zoom out on the daily. So what I think is the best thing to do is to buy the dip at key levels, okay? And these key levels can be seen for support levels. For example, actually, let me go on the weekly, it's better. For example, at $60,000 was a good point to buy. Look, we had support here. So the strategy could look like this. You take a buy here at 60,000, then you can see here at the bottom, here there's some support because we've been consolidating. So you could take a position at 40,000, but that's quite low. So in my opinion, we're not gonna go that low. So the best thing to probably do is to keep buying every $5,000. So let's say you buy at 65,000, 60,000, then you buy at 55,000, 50,000, 45,000, and at every price point, whatever you're willing to invest, you put that money in. Now, if you have a bit more risk tolerance, you can do leverage trades and keep adding to your positions as we go down, because we know that eventually, statistically after 1 year, we then tend to have a massive run to the upside. And that is, I think, a good strategy to do. I'm gonna not do it on leverage because doing leverage is very risky, and I believe in it long term in Bitcoin. So I'm gonna just buy spot as we keep going down, because you are gonna eventually be very thankful that you have bought at these price levels. And it's very funny that usually everyone wants to buy when we're at 126,000, and no one wants to buy when we're at 60,000, 55,000. But eventually people will always say, I wish I bought at those prices. Now, finally, let's look at Ethereum. Now, Ethereum has reached our support target. So if we zoom out here, we can see we have a major ascending wedge, basically. We have this major trend line since 2022, approximately, since June 2022. And it has found support here, and now we're finding support again. And it doesn't mean, again, we cannot go lower. I think if Bitcoin, of course, goes lower, we are gonna go lower. But just keep this in mind, we have strong support at around $1,800 for Ethereum. If we go onto the hourly chart, we can also see that we are kind of forming a inverse head and shoulders pattern. So let me draw it for you guys. It's kind of like this. So we have the shoulder, the head, and then the other shoulder. And the way the pattern works is we basically draw a trend line, and then we also take from the neckline to the top, we take this, we duplicate it, and we then take one sec, and then here we go, we take it and put it up, and this just brings us the target. This is just a strategy. The target will be around $2,400 in the short run. I think we could reach the target. It could be interesting, and then we continue going down. Hope you guys liked it. Please stay for the future videos, subscribe and like, and see you next time. Bye.